New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick Time Show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time, and it's time. So I have some Knicks, man, with some really cool people from across YouTube streets, and I can't wait to introduce you to these people. So shout out to, first and foremost, but before I get to them, shout out to my guy, the Latin Assassin, Lee Escobedo. What's going on, Lee?
What's good? Great to be collaborating with some fellow intellectuals here. I'm ready to talk Knicks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, shout out to my guy who's best mod in the game. Who here has a mod that's also on the panel for you? Shout out to my guy, Mr. NBA Economy, Fritz Alessandro. What's going on, Fritz?
Hey, what's up? Always nice hang out with some friends and talk some Knicks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this woman over here has started this dope channel, Dope Soul. Very knowledgeable Knicks fans, been doing this for a few years. Always meant to have her on the show. Shout out to my guy Lee Escobedo, who is the man who likes to reach out for me and touch people and bring them over here. And finally making her debut on KOT, my girl Steph. What's going on, Steph? AKA Queen.
Excited to be here with you, Jay Ellis, Lee, Fritz, of course, Jeff. And, for those who don't know the story, before I got into content creation, I was listening to you, Nick of Time podcast, before I even realized that YouTube existed. So you've been at this for a long time, one of the OGs.
Yeah, shoot, when I started, I didn't have gray hair. That was crazy. 2016, Derrick Rose, Phil Jackson. We had the super team, man. It didn't quite work out that super, but yeah, that's when we started, man.
Yeah.
And of course, we have another knowledgeable person on the show. We'll be rocking with Steph a lot of the time. My man Jeff on the channel. What's going on?
Well, this is kind of fun for me. I was trying to explain it to my family, and I was like, man, they're like, what are you so excited? I was like, this is like the Mount Rushmore, one of the Mount Rushmore of Knick content creation shows. So, and it goes back a long time. Like I listened to Raw Hebrew Remnant when he was like one of the first content creators I ever heard. And when he was on the show, that's how I found out about you guys. And ever since, just a lot of respect. And then Queen kind of picked me up out of the gutter, and I'm her charity case. And so she cleaned me off and dusted me off and gave me some nice clothes to wear and a hot meal. And so here I am.
Well, I'm pretty sure she saw something in you that made her dust you off and shower you and give you a whole meal.
Jeff has definitely leveled up the show. That's a fact.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jeff. And thank you for the kind words. All right, let's get to it, though. I'm ready to talk some Knicks. Are you ready to talk Knicks? Because I'm ready.
Yeah, always.
Oh,
yeah, let's go. So there's been a lot of off-season additions. And I'm going to first start off by saying congratulations to Leon Rose, who's kind of made a mountain out of a molehill. He's kind of turned water to wine. He didn't really have a lot of money. And even though he did not have a lot of money, he was still able to turn that into some pretty good additions, former six mans of the years, guys who was kind of showing out last season. And it's gotten Knicks fan base excited. So I want to ask my illustrious panel. I'm gonna start out with Steph, since guess here. Who do you feel like is your favorite new addition to this New York Knicks team?
That's a great question. A month ago, I would have said Clarkson, but today I'm actually gonna go Brogdon if he's healthy. And the reason why is he changes everything for the Knicks, in my opinion, if he's healthy, because now you have a floor general, an actual floor general to play behind Brunson, who knows how to run actions, who's who's a veteran, who's been through it, who's played in high leverage games. So I like that about him. I don't know where he's at defensively, whether or not you can play him and Brunson together. That we might be past that point. But if that was the case, now you can really play Brunson off the ball, other than somebody bringing the ball up the court and Brunson running to get it as soon as it comes across half court. Like somebody where Brunson can really feel comfortable playing off the ball. I don't know if we're going to see that, because again, I'm not sure where Brogdon is defensively. But even if he just plays behind Brunson, I think that's huge for the Knicks, in my opinion. So he would beat out Clarkson by a hair. Clarkson is going to have a bigger role on the team.
Yeah, it's funny. So I actually talked about this with Lee a couple of episodes ago, where I actually mentioned, I was like, if this was 2 years ago and we're having this conversation, who should start next to Brunson? Because I know we're going to have that starting five conversation.
Right.
I would unequivocally say Malcm Brogdon 2 years ago, if this unit was the same. Because Malcm Brogdon a few years ago, 6 man a year, can hit the three, he can play make, he can play defense.
Right.
And those are the type of people that you need next to Jalen Brunson. And on top of that, you can so it's like you can, now our team is more switchable. There's more versatility. You can have Brunson off ball, you can have Brunson on ball. Like prime Malcm Brogdon next to Jalen Brunson is, to me, like the perfect 1-2. And then you got McCall and OG. That would have been ridiculous. So I like your Malcm Brogdon pick. Jeff, what you thinking, man?
Well, I don't really want to be an echo chamber, and Steph kind of stole my answer, so I'll go in a different direction and say Yabusele, because Gershon is an interesting stretch four. I don't know how. I think his ability to play defense at the 4 position, I don't know how good it is, but I think that's going to, if he can be serviceable defensively, I think that he's a really interesting, versatile piece for us. He can play the 4, he can play the 5 spot in a pinch, and he gives you that outside shooting that opens up lanes for Brunson and Cat, and it makes our offense extremely dynamic in a very modern sense. And I think that Mike Brown, if I've heard him correctly, says he wants to shoot a ton of threes and not just come across half court and chuck, but actually get solid quality 3-point looks. And I think that Yabusele not only helps us create those with the space that he provides, but he also, when he gets those, he can take advantage of them. And that's a really big deal from a big man. And to have 2 bigs who can really shoot it from deep, and he and Towns really gives the Knicks a very Boston Celtics from 2 years ago kind of a look on the offensive end.
I agree. Like, it's funny. It's like, I don't really think about playing them together, but sometimes you just kind of wonder if his defense holds up on that side. Could Cat and Yabusele play together? I know Lee's watched a lot of Yabusele. I don't know what do you think, Lee, about Yabusele playing with Karl-Anthony Towns?
I'm a little worried about it defensively. I think that he can fit in enough as a team defender. If he doesn't put on an island, I do think that opposing teams will go at him hard, possibly try to even get him in foul trouble, so that the Knicks have to lean a little bit leaner in that front court. They're not super deep in terms of size and strength like they were a couple of seasons ago during the Hart era. So I have a little issue defensively, but offensively, he's a C-level, 3-level scorer, right? I would give him like a grade C, which isn't negative. If A is Brunson and B is someone like Bridges, C's pretty damn good. So to have that off the bench, I think provides a lot of mix and match on offense. I think any rotation that has Yabusele in it has a chance to be top 3 in the NBA if the surrounding pieces are Brunson, Cat, OG, and Bridges. But my favorite player is, of course, Steph stole his thunder, but I'm going to keep on rocking with it because Malcm Brogdon, with the caveat, and I think I said this about 5 times on the show yesterday with Jay, if healthy, is an unbelievable game changer for a non-guaranteed contract. He's the best table setter Brunson has had behind him. The on-off opportunities where you have 48 minutes of elite high-quality playmaking is something that the Knicks have not had. It's always been Brunson and an aging Rose, or Brunson and not ready quickly, or Brunson and an undersized Deuce, or Brunson and campaign. God forbid, Elfrid Payton. So we haven't really had that guy who can come in and maintain, whether that's pace or speed or corner threes or on-ball action. Inside the arc, Brogdon is probably the best inside store from the inside the three-point line to the rim that we've had since Derrick Rose. So those type of opportunities, again, if healthy, it puts us in a different stratosphere of competition offensively. Defensively, I think even if healthy, he's not going to be someone that can switch 1 through 4 like he used to be in Boston. I think he's not be limited, but can he defend in space? Can he defend in transition? Can he be a good team defender on rotations and be smart about it? Be a communicator to call out what's happening? Yes. So I think there's huge upside with Brogdon. And luckily, if he is washed and he's turned into a cone, we can easily dispense of him because a contract isn't bloated. It's not an unmovable deal. 1 year non-guaranteed this far, and then slide one of our other depth pieces into his spot.
Do you think he can play with Brogdon, with Brunson, or do you think that those years are behind him?
I think he definitely will. I think there'll be a ramping up of that. I think most of the time, my Browns are going to depend on him to run the offense when Brunson's sitting. But I think once the continuity gels, you'll see closing lineups specifically with Malcm Brogdon as that corner shooter where he has absolutely been deadly his entire career, knocking down threes in the left and right slots. I think that will be why wouldn't you add that decoy around Jalen Brunson? Also, someone who can play make as a secondary or tertiary hub. If Jalen Brunson gets doubled or you blitz on the pick and roll, he can then give you some type of advantages hitting backdoor cutters and shooters on the corners too. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of mix and match that we really haven't had since Brunson arrived.
Absolutely. I know some people are kind of worried about him because he's an older player. He has injury prone. I think those are legit concerns. And even last year, his numbers last year, they weren't that good. So I'm not sure. But, I always take good players who go on bad teams, especially veteran players. I take their numbers going up and down with a grain of salt. When you're going to a team like the Wizards and you only have 30 games to play and they're not making the playoffs, it's not like you're going to be going all out. You're kind of going to be the guy who's going to be pointing the young guys in the right direction. Your motivation might be really limited, so you might be mailing it in. And even if you aren't mailing it in, and you're like, you know what, I'm going all out. I'm playing defense this game. The rest of your teammate is the Washington Wizards. Nobody else on that team is playing defense, and you're still going to look bad. And then you're right back to mailing it in. So when people say, he looks pretty bad, look at he's shooting and look at this defense, is yes, but I don't know if that tells the entire story. It's really going to take training camp to kind of see what's really real and not, maybe even beyond training camp. But for those people who are concerned, rightfully concerned, but there could still be something in the tank. There could be, because even the year before, if you're looking at the cleaning the glass stats, when he was with Portland, shot 42% from 3 when he was playing with Portland.
Wow.
All right. So all the other numbers wasn't really all there, and that's still a team that wasn't really going anywhere. But he shot 42% from 3 playing with Portland the year before.
If you look at those mid and long shots and you see the rapid digression from orange to blue there at the bottom as he gets into Portland and Washington, that's extremely indicative of the teammates he had around him. The spacing is going to be much less crowded when other teams can just build a wall for him and force him into really difficult mid-range push shots and floaters. So I think now he's going to be surrounded by everyone that we've mentioned on this panel so far, the Cats and the Brunsons and the OGs. I think we're going to see an uptick, maybe not to some of those prime numbers there, but I think he can get into that low 60s percentile.
I agree. True 5 out gives you more spacing inside and out. So I agree with you. If that's really his destiny and he's healthy enough to do that. All right. I know we've been talking about him. Anybody else has anything else to add about Brogdon? We've been talking.
Yes, Fritz.
Well, one thing I will say that hasn't been mentioned, his career defensive rating is actually better than Deuce McBride's.
That's a bar.
in other words, I don't say that as a slight to Deuce, just to say that this is a guy who can defend. Like, if he's healthy, he's going to be able to defend because he has the tools. And Boston was one of the best defensive teams in the league when he came off the bench for them. And so he'll be able to play alongside Clarkson. He'll be able to play alongside Brunson. And so he really opens up a lot of doors if he's healthy. And Lee hit the nail on the head. If he's not, it's not like you're invested in a huge multi-year, cap crippling contract. He's here on the vet minimum. If he's ready to go, and I think that he is, I think he's going to be a steal for the Knicks, and just a shrewd offseason pickup. And here's a guy who wanted to come to the Knicks by his own estimation. He said he wanted to be here and he wanted to play a sizable role. So those are his expectations. If those are his expectations, he better be in shape and ready to play. So I think we're going to get a lot of good out of Malcom, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Dollar store Chauncey Billups, man. Again, that's not a slight. They're very similar. Chauncey got whatever he wanted because he had that power dribble. He had an unbelievable elite mid-range game, and he could post up, which Brogdon can't do. And Chauncey could actually, you could put Chauncey on a 4 sometimes, and he could hold his own. Brogdon could never do that. But the floor leader, the cerebral mindset, the ability to table set, the ability to hit touch threes. If you go back to that data, Jay, look at the corner stuff. The corner has not lost any traction, which means that when he catches it, he's going to hit it and he's going to make it. I can't wait to add that to our arsenal come playoff time.
80th percentile from the corner while playing with Portland. All right, 74 percentile. It's funny because, well, actually, let's talk about that. 46% from 3 while playing with Portland. Pretty damn good.
Hell yeah.
Pretty damn good. Fritz, man, what you got, bro? What's on your mind?
Well, I thought this season was always going to be an advanced math problem for the Knicks. Going all the way back to the deadline, our thoughts was, hey, we need to save money up for one guy. Maybe we can get someone to sign for $5 million who could have got more. Maybe they'll sacrifice for winning. But Leon Rose had the second most miraculous summer behind Milwaukee, and he didn't save up for one. Once he gave Yabusele the TPMLE, 2 more guys that we probably thought we had to save up for came here. I think the most surprising one, would have been, let me see. Most surprising would be, let me see. Brogdon was surprising, but Utah gave us a gift, and I think once our TP was gone, to see someone pick us first immediately and not play teams versus each other was amazing. I think that's the one gift. I think once we got Yabusele, I was ready to call it a great summer, but I think the 2 other signings made it even better summer.
Yeah. Facts.
I agree. I agree on all counts. I feel like I just want to pick somebody else just because everybody picked Malcom. I feel like Jordan Clarkson, damn it.
Good pick.
I'm gonna just say Jordan Clarkson because Jordan Clarkson is another guy who's kind of like a 6-man-a-year type of guy who can, for sure, still make more than you think. Can table set, can get his own bucket. You don't have a lot of guys here who can actually get their own bucket. Now, sometimes the percentages don't really reflect that, but I do feel like when you have other guys on his team who put the ball in the hole, I think it's going to open up the game for him a little bit more, and hopefully we see those percentages rise. So for me, I'm gonna take Jordan Clarkson. The guy could dance the ball, get his own bucket. 3-level score, maybe not all the way from 3 all the time, but I like Jordan Clarkson's potential.
Listen, you think about how anemic the Knicks bench was. Clarkson was a gift. He just fell into our lap and filled a huge need that we had coming off the bench. So I'm not mad about that pick at all. And he'll probably play more minutes than Brogdon. Yeah. Clarkson is that's very like 1A, 1B right there.
Exactly. And I know Knicks fans been wanting him for a long time. So congratulations, Jordan Clarkson. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm like low key excited about Yabusele just because of the potential. Because he's sort of like an enigma. You know what I mean? He's like he had a good year, but she's like, is he scratching the surface? Could he really step it up this year? He's had a good season in the offseason playing with France. He's been a captain over there. He's been the emotional leader for France, hitting threes, clutch buckets in like real competition. So the prospect of him kind of just turning up and solidifying the bench scoring and spreading the floor for us also is a little bit exciting.
Usually when you see an offseason like this, not just by the Knicks, but any contending team, these type of additions come by subtraction. It means that there was kind of a trade that happened, consolidation trade would say it was Bridges and Hart and another piece would trade out to bring in Cat. And now you're trying to fill these new roles that are starters with guys like Clarkson, Brogdon, and Yabusele. We're on the opposite end of that. We maintained our entire core of guys to the ECF, and we're adding that on icing on the cake. That's it. As a Knicks fan that started in 2002, I've never seen this kind of shit. Like, this is brand new to me. Like, as Fritz said, when did we become a team that other players aren't using as leverage, that actually want to sign with us, got opportunities from other contenders and said, no, the Knicks is where I want to be. Not just where I want to be. I'm willing to sign a camp deal, a non-guaranteed deal, to then see how I perform, bet on myself, and try and make the team. This is like new era Knicks, man. I'm really hyped.
Facts.
I agree, man. You know what? And Josh Hart gets on my nerve a lot of times. But what I do like about Josh Hart is he will recruit. If somebody is free, he will send those eyes on Twitter. So I really like I really like the public tampering from Josh Hart. I enjoy it.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. I want to thank you from the bench this year too, but thank you.
Now get that finger fix, bro.
Please get the finger fix. That's my guy still. A good year last year, but yeah, fix that finger in the shooting. All right. Next question for you guys that I want to pick your brain about. You know, this season is interesting because the path almost seems to be clear for the Knicks, with Indiana, who's kind of had a number for the last few years, losing Miles Turner, and Hallie just being injured altogether. We have the Celtics who are out the picture, or are they? Are they out the picture? Because you saw Jason Tatum. But so the Celtics are seemingly out of the picture, and it seems like the Knicks have a clear path to the ECF. So my question to you guys is, with those guys out the way, are there any other teams that actually put fear in you where you feel like, well, you know what, the Knicks, I'm not sure if they can beat this team? Go ahead, Lee.
You went straight to you know I already have my team at the top.
I already know.
First of all, let me say this. There's no one in the East that scares me. I was actually debating with Christian Winfield on the Knicks World last night about the validity of how tough is Atlanta, or how tough is Detroit, or how tough is Orlando. I think they're all a tier below us, including the Cleveland Cavaliers, who as long as Mitchell Robinson's playing, they ain't beating us at all, because Mitch is their Achilles heel, right? I mean, he won that series as the most important player at his apex. But to me, it's all about the finals. To me, it's finals or bust. This is not a championship or bust season, but it is a finals or bust season. You have to say that with Orlando and Boston, the two most competitive teams last year in the East, right? Not just out, but out for the foreseeable future. Boston is completely rebuilding. I think 80% of their roster right now will not be on their roster a season from now. It's going to be complete turnover as they try to upgrade under the new CBA. I look at the finals, and I say, who's a tough matchup for us? I think Denver. Denver not only has championship pedigree, but I think they're guys at the peak of their powers. OKC got it showed they are very vulnerable. Indiana Pacers, no one had them taking them to 7 games. If Halliburton doesn't go down, that series was literally on the full tilt. It could have went either way in that series if Halliburton would have been healthy. Denver, I think, is a different story, and they really upgrade their roster this season. You saw what Tim Hardaway did as a veteran for Detroit Pistons, kind of carving out a new niche in his career. He's finally adjusted to not maybe playing one game or playing lesser minutes. You put him in there, he's on a burner. Adding that to Cam Johnson, massive upgrade over bum-ass MPJ, who's been on one of the worst podcast tour in recent memory. And then also adding Bruce Brown, a part of their championship tour, back to their team to pair with Tristan Brown on the perimeter. They got a lot of flexibility. They had some dogs on the bench. And then, of course, Jamal Murray and already Mount Rushmore Joker. You have Joker on your team. To me, he's like one or two players I would put above Brunson. I always think if I have Brunson at the end of a game, you have a chance at anything. I think there's two guys that exceed him in that capacity, and that's Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. Those two guys give you a chance not to win every game, but to come back from 30, just because of how dominant they are. Joker putting up, 30, 20, and 10 triple-doubles. That's a lot. Cat has played them very well, definitely, in the second round 2 years ago. But to do it again with a better roster this time than what Cat faced him in the West, that to me is a toughest matchup for us. And I say this because I think Denver will be in the finals this year as well.
What you thinking, Jeff? I feel like you've been pondering a lot.
Well, first of all, your audience doesn't know this, but I am the PTSD king as far as my teams are concerned. I always am the one who braces himself for the worst and expects it and then hopes for the best. But I'll say this: a team that probably you're not expecting, I would think, but if they're healthy, and they added a lottery pick to their core, and that's Philadelphia. If hear me out, if Joel Embiid is healthy and you get a good season from Paul George, look, it's a lot, but if it happens, if you get Paul George and you get Tyrese Maxey and you add the lottery pick into that mix, Philadelphia can be like, they completely fell apart last year. Everything that could go wrong for them did. So if they get a reversal of that, I think that's a team that isn't necessarily on anybody's championship radar, but is a team that can give anybody fits. I mean, if you remember 2 years ago in the playoffs, that series, I think, as total points scored was within maybe 1 or 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up winning in 6, but it was a razor's edge, and we had that miracle, with the rebound and the DiVincenzo shot, and a great moment. But that Sixers series really hung in the balance and was on a knife, right? And so I think that Embiid, when he's healthy, gives everybody fits. I mean, he's just a walking bucket. I do think that the good thing is I don't think all of those guys are going to stay healthy. I'm not sure how much Paul George has left in the tank, if anything at all. But I think just from a preseason point of view, if they get all of those guys to play 65-plus games, I'm just going to use that as a figure, then I think that they're going to be a decent seed. And if they're healthy come playoff time, that will not be an easy team by any stretch of the imagination. And the other one that I would worry a little bit about in the East is Detroit, because Jaden Ivey is back, right? And if he's back and he's healthy, the Pistons gave us fits last year. I mean, that series was extraordinarily close. And Jaden Ivey provides them with some scoring that they desperately needed off the bench. So I agree in principle with what Lee said. I think when the Knicks are at their maximum, they're a tier above all of those teams. But, I'm always the kind of person, respect the opponent. Anyone can beat you, if you're not playing your best. So that's kind of my philosophy. But I think Detroit and Philadelphia are both tough. And, Cleveland won 60 some odd games last year. And with a healthy Darius Garland, that Pacers series may go differently. I understand that Mitch dominated them 2 years ago, but that was 2 years ago. I think Mobley is a better player. And I think Allen may be a better player as well, but certainly Mobley. So I don't think you can just simply write them off because we beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago. Anybody who plays the stock market knows past performance is no guarantee of future results.
You want to say something? I felt like pushback is coming.
I disagree with everything Jeff just said, but I'm gonna let someone else go. And if we can circle back.
Let's debate.
I mean, look, yeah, man. I disagree with all of that. I don't think Detroit got better. I think they lost the veterans that were really the backbone of that overachieve. I think it's fair to say Detroit overachieved last year. You can't go from the worst team 3 years in a row to the playoffs and competing with the top tier, a top record, and not say that you overachieved to a certain degree. Kate Cunningham is the MVP, in my opinion, best point guard in the league in the East. We've debated that on the show, but I think losing Beasley, going from Beasley to Robinson is a drop off. I think going from Tim Hardaway, Karis LeVert is about equal, but losing Dennis Schroeder and not having any backup playmaker, not having that Brogdon off the bench, depending on Ivy to be a table setter, that hurts them. Cade really can't sit. They have no offensive initiation. They don't have like a point forward or an offensive hub at center to really start their offensive case. They're like the Knicks 3 years ago, where Brunson does everything and Brunson's always on ball. That's why I think they're not really that much of a threat as you see them. Philly, to me, that's like, man, if that happens, this might be the last year of the Mayan calendar. Like Paul George being healthy and still having something in the tank, Joel Embiid making it through a regular season, playoffs no less. All three of their young guards staying. McCain's already hurt, bro. Like it's too many things to line up, and then they have a lot of veterans who are very inconsistent. Kelly Oubre Jr. is kind of the face of that. I don't see all of those pieces line up and the stars aligning to provide a path toward the ECF. I really think it's the West or bust. I just don't really see anyone there. I think you can make some definitive statements to say that's a opponent I do not respect because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, Y. Just go through the whole alphabet, right? And be able to defend yourself. I think it's fair to say that. And the two teams you named, I think do have some major flaws. And Cleveland, bro. I mean, Jared Allen, I don't think Jared Allen has gotten better. And I think Evan Mobley's gotten a little bit better on offense. I will definitely give you that one. But until Mobley is the best player, Cleveland is not a contender. Mobley must be the best player for them to be a contender. They can't do it on the back of Donovan Mitchell.
Also on Detroit, I disagree that Detroit is really a contender because Detroit lacks stability. And that one thing is you have Durant, you have Ivy and Robinson basically fighting for their paychecks. So you have people with different agendas on this team. I don't think winning may be an objective, but is not the only objective. And I think that's going to hurt them. I think Durant, he wants that money, and he's going to have to be more assertive. I think that may disrupt the team. I don't think it's better for the team. I think it may be better for him.
I think I disagree with the biggest thing I disagree with was the Joel Embiid being healthy playing 65 games. I don't think there's any way in hell that man plays 65. Like I'm not gonna hold you. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired in like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. I feel like he's on his way out the door.
Yeah.
He messed up his knee early in his career. He was never really in shape, so it progressively got worse. And as good as Joel Embiid was versus the Knicks that season, like it was like he played well for a quarter and a half, and then he was on fumes. So it's like even if he does theoretically say make it to the playoffs, it's not like a situation like us where we have Mitch, and Mitch is only here to play like a role in defense. Like Joel Embiid is the hub of that team. So it's like when the hub of your team can't play the season and the playoffs and can't play for like a good amount of the games, it's a problem. They can't, if the hub of your team can't play 30 minutes a game, you're in trouble. And 76ers are in trouble.
Yeah, when knee issues, when you have an unspecific injury, that means basically you need knee replacement. And I think he's there. Like when you don't say, hey, he has this specific injury, when it's just general, his knees are bad. Yeah, that's when you're toward the end.
Right. And even with the Nuggets pick, call me delusional. Here's my delusional Knicks fan. I mean, listen, we gave the Nuggets fits for the last few years. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I don't know what it is with Knicks and Nuggets. Last few years, we've given them fits. And I remember when Mitch was giving Jokic a hard time, and even when Mitch wasn't playing, we gave the Nuggets a hard time. I think we could take the Nuggets, yo. I think we could take them.
Yeah. So I think the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. And we can say when it comes to Philly that we don't think those things are going to line up. And I agree. I don't think they're going to line up. But if they do, they will be formidable. If the pixie dust falls on Philadelphia and everybody is healthy, I do think that they would be a top 3 team if healthy. That's a big if, and so much would have to line up. I do think Cleveland is a title contender. Now, I think Cleveland is soft. I think the Knicks are more mentally tough than Cleveland. I think even if Cleveland is healthy, the Knicks win that series. But I'm not going to sit here and say a team that won 65 games, who had players injured, throughout the playoffs, is not a title contender. They are one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. However, I just think the Knicks are better. I think the Knicks are tougher. I think if we stay healthy, because listen, some pixie dust got to fall on us too, right? I mean, we got Mitch, who we're counting on, who shout out to dailyknicks.com, who has played 25 minutes, 60 games once in his career, right? So we need a little pixie dust there. OG and Towns were really healthy last year, but they also have an injury history. Brogdon, who we're hoping plays a significant role behind Brunson. So we need a little pixie dust too. But I think that the Knicks, if healthy, are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I do think Cleveland is second. I think the Knicks beat Cleveland in any series they play. But I do think Cleveland is a title contender. Yeah.
For me, I think the two teams are puncher chances. I put the Cavs and Orlando. There are a lot of teams that if things just magically line up, they may be in the hunt. But the Knicks are the one team that is at peace. Like if the Knicks go through a 2K simulation, if everything goes as planned, the Knicks should win the East. Orlando is the one team I kind of put an asterisk on because I don't think they're as good as us, but they have enough assets that in January, if they say, hey, let's go for it, they can do something that could, come to our level. And that's where I put Orlando. But as constructed, the Knicks should win the East.
I like that take, Chris. Oh, you want to say something? I felt like Stephanie wanted to say something.
No. I was saying I agree. I'm not that high on Orlando. I don't know. I'm just not that high on Orlando. Really good defensive team. Let's see what sis. Let's see how their shooting. How their shooting goes this season. Who did they sign? They signed a really good shooter in the offseason.
Desmond Bain. They traded.
Desmond Bain. I don't know if one player fixes all of their shooting woes, but he is a good one. He is a good one. But I just feel like the Knicks are just the best team in the East.
Yeah. Point guard is a question mark for me for Orlando. Is it Suggs starting there? He's really a combo guard in my opinion. And until they get that figured out, I'm not sure that team can raise to the premier level because I think it's just difficult when you've got your top two players in Wagner and Banchero, who are both highly inefficient scorers, even though they are excellent. Like they're both borderline all-stars, I would argue, but at the same time, they duplicate each other a lot, and they did have success together because those twin towers is hard for teams to match up a lot of times for a lot of the league, so it does give issues. But in the postseason, it's about making shots and having one prime three-point threat in Desmond Bane. As Queen said, I don't know that solves all of your three-point shooting issues when so many teams can just spread you out and knock it down from all 5 positions on the floor. We saw Indiana. The reason that they're so successful is that everybody can shoot, not just one guy. And if you're going to win a postseason series, I think that in the modern NBA, you've got to be able to knock down the 3 consistently.
That's a really great point. They struggle not just with shooting, with ball handling too. They kind of are like us last year, where the shooting is really strong in 1 or 2 positions, and then they really lack strong ball handlers at the guard spots. Suggs is an excellent shooter, but not an excellent motion shooter. He's more of a catch and shoot or a standstill guy. He can hit some of the above the break threes, but if he's in traffic or being blitzed, he's not like even Deuce is able to rise up and hit and knock down some threes. Suggs doesn't have that yet. But adding Tyus Jones, who was ass in Phoenix last year, I think Orlando has a defensive framework to really protect him and allow him to be more of a efficient table setter as a backup point guard. So that was an interesting addition that they made this season, letting what's his name go in the trade for
Cole Anthony
in the trade, and then backing that up with Tyus Jones. I thought Tyus Jones is almost terrible on any team but Orlando. I'd be the only one that has a defense that can hide him.
Good points. Good points. Good points. All good points. Ebony, what's going on? Ebony, welcome to the show.
Salute.
What's up, y'all? That mute button be kicking my butt. What's up, y'all?
No.
How y'all doing? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Good to
Yeah.
see you, sis.
See you as well.
Mute button 100, Ebony 0. Still 100. Right?
Yeah. Two
Dynasty.
seasons straight. This is the third season straight mute button. Just
Yeah, well, I'm gonna answer next. It's like, well, but we're talking about what team are we afraid of? So that's the conversation. My answer is nobody. Damn it, I ain't scared of nobody. That's my answer. But but
you know that's mine too.
But you know what though? For like, I would say before the injury, I think the Rockets scared me before the injury.
Okay, me too. I could be honestly not scared, but if anybody I was looking at, like they could be team-wise competition, definitely Rockets, because they already had the defense down.
Yeah,
and had the youth, and they were figuring out their offensive game. They just needed another maybe automatic bucket, somebody who can get their own bucket. And I called Kevin Durant to the Rockets before he went, because my cousin is a big KD fan. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling him the best fit for him is Houston.
It is.
I'm like, he has defenders around him. They're young. They can do the heavy lifting. All he got to do is give them a bucket. I said, and they have a point guard. They have a veteran point guard, know how to play defense, knows how to run the team. I cannot stand Fred VanVleet because he always kills us. But I can give him the respect. He's a good player, a very smart player, a winning player, makes winning plays. So all together, I was like, they have a lot, the rebounding, the defense, the scoring. They have enough. But yeah, the Fred VanVleet injury was big. So yeah, no, I don't see anything else really.
For real. And I feel like Fred VanVleet is one of those Knick killers, man. It's like no matter where he goes, he kills us all the damn time. And he always kills Jalen Brunson too. So it's like, man, it's like even when he was in Toronto, he was killing us. And then you got Kevin Durant, who's just Kevin Durant. And then you got Sengun, who is always who's been a threat recently, who can play make. That team is still very good. And they picked up Clint Capella, but like they're still dangerous. They still going to be a well-coached team. They still have Durant, so they still might give us some fits. But having another guy who can take the load off of Kevin Durant, to me, is going to hurt them. I know Lee said he's not scared of OKC. I still have a very, very healthy respect for OKC.
Oh, yeah.
But I know, they got exposed by Indiana, but they exposed us last season. That was a team that really, there's a few games where it felt like we didn't have a chance. And OKC was one. I think the Celtics were another one, but then you saw how that ended with the Celtics. All right, so I'm hoping for a repeat with OKC, but I still heavily respect OKC and SGA and Chet too. Like, listen, I understand we do struggle to guard these big mobile bigs when you have Cat out there. Now that we have Mitch, maybe it'll help litigate that. Hartenstein, he also was giving us problems too. I'm not gonna hold you. He was giving it to us too. So I was like, I still really have a healthy respect for OKC and how much they turned us over. But like, we do have more ball handlers this season. We do have a new system with Mike Brown. So maybe the improved offense will help litigate what's been happening. Or at least the last games with OKC when it was turning us over a lot, because that's their strength, the defense, turnover and scoring off turnovers. But I still have a healthy respect for those guys.
I do too. You know who else team? Sorry, who else team? Another team that I like that they probably need a little bit more time. The Spurs makeup, what they're doing over there.
Yeah, the Spurs is a good one. I forgot about the Spurs.
Yeah, I like the makeup of their team. So yeah,
they don't scare me this year, but for the next decade, hell yeah.
I'll say this: if we're worried about the Rockets and the Thunder, I'm good, because that means we're in the NBA Finals.
Let's go.
So those are the problems I want to have right there. If y'all bring it on, I don't care who it is. If they're from the Western Conference, let's go.
Yes, facts. I like that point.
You just had your first gunshots on a KOT show, Jeff. So you can clip that.
Jeff got 2 gunshots so far. Shout out to Jeff.
Great take.
I think it was. That's
all right, yo, Chad. I want to know, Chad, what do y'all think? Who's scaring you? Who's scaring you the most? I don't know. Has the chat even spoken? I don't think the chat has really weighed in on who's scaring them most. Maybe they confident like we are, man. I don't think anybody is scared of them. So I get it. All right. I mean, now we talked about, who scares us the most. I think a lot of reasons why we lost some games might be because of Thibodeau, maybe because of the bench. I don't know, but I know a lot of people blame systems for why we lost to the Indiana Pacers. A lot of people blame the lack of experimentation, the lack of 5 out, just the lack of flexibility. Why is the reason why we lost to the Indiana Pacers. But now we have Mike Brown here, and he's been doing a lot of talking. He's been doing a lot of things that Knicks fans can resonate with, talking about moving the ball, talking about transition defense, and other buzzwords that us Knicks fans love to hear. So I want to ask my distinguished panel, how do you feel about Mike Brown so far? I'll start out with Steph here too. Do you feel like this is a welcome change? Do you feel like he's going to do more than Thibodeau? Do you feel like it's a lateral move? Like, what's your thoughts on Mike Brown versus Thibodeau?
I like the hire. I thought the Knicks needed somebody with NBA experience. I know there was, when we were looking for a coach, there was, coaches that didn't really have a lot of NBA experience. They were assistant coaches. And I think for a championship contending team, you definitely needed to have a coach who had been around and coached at a high level. I think Mike Brown is a tier 2 coach, just like Thibodeau is a tier 2 coach. However, I think Mike Brown is better suited for where this team is right now and what we need, right? So say what you want to say about Tom Thibodeau, the results speak for themselves, right? And you can argue that if the process had been better, the Knicks could have went further. And I think that's what we're banking on, and that's what the Knicks are basically gambling on, is that that base is going to stay the same, and with a change in process, offense, defense, offensive schemes, defensive schemes, lineup changes, a better bench, we're going to go further, right? So in terms of what I'm hearing from Mike Brown, I like the fact that he's talking about player movement and ball movement, something we did see before January 1st. Then when teams made their adjustment and putting the center on Hart, we didn't make another adjustment, right? So I like that. I like him wanting to play Brunson off the ball. I like him wanting to move Cat, talking about moving Cat. I love that. I love the focus on the transition defense. I love the talk about pace, though I have some questions about pace, and we'll get into that a little later, I hope. But I like him talking about pacing and space, though the lineups that it's going to be interesting to see what lineups he put in that makes that happen. And then I also like during his press conferences, like he actually says things, right? Like during the press conference, you actually get a sense of what he's thinking. Now, once the criticism comes, he might shut down too, like most coaches too, and then give you coach speak. But for now, I like the fact that when he talks, you get a sense of, what he's thinking about, how he's leaning. That clip about how he was talking about Shamet, it could have just been him blowing air, but he was really high, high on Shamet. So far, so good. But I think we all know that it just comes down to whether the Knicks make it to the finals or not. I mean, at the end of the day, that's where he's going to be judged, fair or not.
Yeah. Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Sure, go ahead.
For Queen, Queen, would you mind defining for our listeners and for the panel what you mean by a tier 2 coach and kind of what you see between the similarities between Thibs and Brown?
By tier 2, I mean that the top coaches in the league, in my opinion, was Pop when he was here. Spo is a top tier coach, in my opinion. There might be a few others. And then I would put Mike Brown in the tier below that.
Okay.
I would put Thibs in the tier below that. Different philosophies, different ways of doing things, but Mike Brown doesn't have, I think he's great for this team, but he doesn't have a stellar record, himself. And one of the things we don't know, his philosophy is great. What is his in-game adjustments going to be? And we're gonna see him in real time, game after game, and we'll get a sense of, how he does with in-game adjustments. But basically what I'm saying is he's not Pop and he's not Spo, right? But he doesn't need to be for this team, right? He doesn't need to be. So I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not saying that that the Knicks won't win a championship with Mike Brown. We will. But he's just not a Pop or a Spo, in my opinion.
Well said, Quinn.
Yeah, I think that's the best argument for Mike Brown I've heard so far, because take you back to when Thibs firing happened, I was kind of like on the side of like, okay, this is confusing. It's like, cool. Like in my brain, I'm like, all right, Thibs got us to a certain point. I know there's things Thibs did wrong for sure. But my whole thing was, if you're going to get rid of Thibs, because like you said, he's a tier 2 coach. In my brain, the tier 1 coaches aren't even available. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to get rid of a tier 2 coach, bring me a tier 1 coach. So when he got fired, I'm like, okay, now what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So are we going to groom some young coach and swing for the fences? Or do you know something I don't know, and we're going to steal a coach from Houston or something, which we found out wasn't happening. But I think this is the best argument that I've heard so far, that maybe like this is a coach that, even though he's a tier 2 coach, he's a tier 2 coach more suited for this team than Tom Thibodeau was last season. So I like that point. All right, Jeff.
Well, this is what I'll say. I don't really care about coaches who win the press conference. I care about coaches who win games. Like you can say all the right things. Aaron Glenn said all the right things in his press conference. His team is 0-4. So don't give me say the right things. What matters is like you can talk about, eliminating penalties. You can talk about eliminating turnovers. If you get out there and you're making the same mistakes that the last regime was making, then you're not any good. So I don't really care anything about what he says. What I do think is he's a guy who can do a lot for this team. And what I mean by that is I think that the model of Domantas Sabonis and his role in the Sacramento offense is one that we can duplicate with Karl Anthony Towns and make him even more effective and make our offense even better. It's my opinion that Jalen Brunson is a much better player than De'Aaron Fox. And so I think if you can get him to have the same effect with the fewer dribbles per possession, like he did with Fox, so almost 2 fewer dribbles per possession, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you can do that and get that ball moving, remember the Kings were the top offense in the NBA under his watch. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, the Knicks have better shooters, better scorers, pretty much better everything across the board. So from an offensive perspective, I don't see any reason why this can't be the top offense in the NBA, even with using players like Mitchell Robinson, who's other than the offensive rebounding, is an offensively challenged player. Let's be honest. And my favorite Knick, by the way, so chat, don't at me like I'm a hater of Mitchell Robinson. Not the case at all. But even if you love a player, you have to be willing to see what their faults are, what they don't do well. Also, he kind of earned his stripes as a defensive coach, like back in his former days, like in his early days of his career. So he's not foreign to those things. And I don't know. I think there's only so far you can go with what we have on this team. But I think from that standpoint, what the key in my mind is going to be is how rigid is he going to be about playing man to man. Because I think one of the few things that can help the talent that's here in the here and now on this team is to play zone defense. I think it makes it easier to hide a Towns and a Brunson. I think it makes it easier to maximize what you have in our best defenders in OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. And the other thing that I would like to see him do when Lee's guys Deuce is in the game, we need to be pressuring the ball 94 feet. And because that's maximizing McBride, in my opinion, that is what he brings to the table. Get him on the point guard as soon as the ball is inbounded, harassing, hassling, just making it difficult. Get them into their offense after 8 or 9 seconds. That means that they can run their actions fewer times when they go through their sets, because every team has their NBA sets. But even a team like Indiana, if you can limit them to having to run 2 or 3 times instead of 4 or 5, they go 4 or 5 times through, they're definitely going to get the shot that they want. If they only get 1 or 2, a lot of times they end up settling for a shot that they don't. And that is dependent upon how quickly they can get into their offense. So, I think that there's some potential on the defensive end, but I think if this team is going to win a championship, and I certainly think they're capable of it, I think that the Denver Nuggets model is the one that we're going to have to shoot for, where we're an elite offense that is, top 10, top 12, top 15 defensively, if we can get there. And I think if you play zone quite a bit and you mix and match with our pieces parts, I think that's possible. We'll see. I'm very interested to see how he utilizes our bench. I don't really want to see hockey substitutions. I would love to see, have at least 2 starters on the floor at pretty much all times, not obviously the same guys, but I think that's the best way to maximize the talent that we have on the floor. And then the other question is, assuming there's no consolidation trade, how does he utilize all that backcourt talent? Like, Deuce needs minutes. Brogdon needs minutes. Clarkson needs minutes. Bridges and Brunson are definitely getting their minutes. How does that shake out? How can you be creative? Do you play small sometimes? How do you manufacture enough minutes for those guys? And how many minutes does Josh Hart play? So those are good problems to have, but there's still problems that need to be solved.
I want to get to that later. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on that one. Many good points. I really love the Deuce point, the hawking up and down. Ellis.
Jeff knows ball, man. Jeff knows ball.
Yeah, I really love that. Does anybody know if he employs some zone defense? I feel like everybody but Thibs does zone.
Yeah, Mike Brown, he'll do what he has to get the game if need be. Sometimes like well, not. I know he has very aggressive defensive principles. So I don't know if he's willing to do zone, but I don't know if it's consistent. Is what I'm saying. I'm not sure if it's consistent.
Yeah, I know he likes to do a lot of blitzing and stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he does like a lot of his own.
Yeah, I wanted to say some things, a couple points to Queen and Jeff. If that's okay. I don't know who's next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I was saying about Deuce. We speaking. I'll just lead off with that then. About Deuce and the aggression. One thing that stood out to me was Mike Brown said we were going to play fast on both ends, and to me that means that we're going to play aggressive. We're going to speed the defense up. Also, we're going to play fast and we're going to speed them up. In order to do that, you got to put pressure on the ball. You got to dictate what they're doing. So that was big for me. I like that. I like to hear that a lot. Also about the Shamit thing, I'm not surprised him speaking very highly of Shamit because he did play with Phoenix, right? And they known to play fast. So Shamit in motion probably looks a lot different. Him being able to flash the free throw line, go back door constantly, that and transition more. That probably looks a lot different than what we saw with Thibs and his role. And we know that with Thibs that we did do some good things. We had a system that no matter whoever was out, they knew that system. It was very, very, very predictable, but at the time it taught our team how to play slow, right? We know we can play slow. That's one thing we know we can do. We can play slow. So now I think Mike Brown helps us play fast, speeds it up. Now we make the defense make mistake again. We make them have to think and move. Now they can't recognize if that's Mitch or Huck or Yabu over there because they're just moving, trying to recover. That's different. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see that. Also, just the minutes, the good problems to have. I just really hope that Mike Brown. We've heard Tib say this, and I've said it. Tib kind of ruined my saying because I was saying this before he was started saying it. To listen to the game. Like you have to listen to the game. So all games or all matchups are not going to be the same. Some people have other people's numbers. It just goes like that. So if it's not their night, send down. No matter who it is, I'm cool with that. My boy Mitch, he ain't doing his thing today. Have a sat down. I'm right next to Mike Brown. Like I'm cool with that.
Right.
Like just whoever has it, whoever the flow within the flow of the game, like just do it that way. Also with Sacramento, we mentioned how good of an offensive team he had, but one of the things we mentioned last night in the pod is how he came and talked about his defense. He was talking about defense, trying to set a defensive tempo. And that's one thing Sacramento did not have. They had some scorers. They had a pretty good team of scorers. When you think about it, people who can score the ball when they need to. And their problem was their defense. They didn't have the defenders. So now he has both. He has both. He has the offensive talent and the defensive talent. So what does that look like with Mike Brown? And I can't wait to see because, again, he's talking about playing fast on both ends. That means you're going to need a lot of people. That's a lot of energy being spent. You're going to need it. So I think the systems and him fusing people's strengths with his system is going to work big for us. We have a lot of players that work better in movement for me. And I think we didn't get to see their full maximum potential, and we will get to see more of that this season.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that we couldn't get Cat and JB on the same page, but like mentioned, he did get Fox and Sabonis. They was clicking on all cylinders. One thing that made that work was Sabonis is a great screener. So Cat with them screens, you got to be.
I was about to say, Cat got to get better with the screen.
you got to get, and also with De'Aaron Fox, his passing is like almost it was on a string. Even with the lobs, he was pretty good with the lobs. That's been some of the questions we've had about Jalen Brunson. So those aspects are going to be big with our two-man game, especially in Mike Brown's system. There's a lot of screening, off ball, everywhere. He multiple movement is always option A, B, C, D, E in his offenses. Where if you try to, he always has like a plan B. Oh, you're gonna go over the screen. We're gonna do this the rescreen right here to a dribble handoff. So that's the type of things that he does, and I can't wait to see it because I think OG, I think Deuce, I think even Josh Hart benefits from this system, and especially my guy Mitch, especially him. I think he benefits. Go ahead, Jay.
Now, you know what? Offensively, I feel like that's where I'm really comfortable when it comes to Mike Brown. Like I already know he's going to bring it on offense. He's going to have a new system. He's going to have us guys moving it out the ball. I think he's going to help Jalen Brunson become more of a floor general the way he helped De'Aaron Fox become more of a floor general. I think we're going to utilize Cat's passing like he's utilized Sabonis passing. So offensively, I'm not worried. Like he took the Kings to being the number one offensive team in the league. Got them playing faster. He's going to do that with the Knicks. I feel like our transition three is going to go up. I feel like Cat's going to get a lot more transition three opportunities. I just feel like offensively, I think this is probably going to be ideal offensive season for the Knicks. We're used to being a defensive team first since the 90s. I feel like this season we're going to be like, oh my gosh, this team is just an offensive juggernaut. Defensively, though, I'm not going to lie, I still have questions. Because, like Jeff said earlier, he does have a defensive reputation, but I feel like the reputation was like from back in the day when LeBron,
with the Cavs. But you got to remember, you can't do what you don't have with the people that's not in their DNA. You know.
No, I feel you.
One thing with the push-up, but with Mike Brown is that I like is again accountability. If you're not playing defense, he has a problem. One and two also. That his team concept. So if you're not a good, like you don't have the lateral speed to guard up one-on-one, he has very good team defensive principles. Like very, very, very good team. So it's all about being in the right spots. We're dictating where we want them to go, and you be in these spots type of vibes. So now you're not on the island. Now it doesn't look like the chicken with the head cut off so much. They have different defensive principles. I know about his defensive principles. It's very team oriented, all about the rotations, all about pushing to doing what they want you to mean. The team, meaning Knicks, want the ops to do. So
I understand all of that. I haven't had the opportunity to see it with a good defensive team to say this is what he's going to bring. Because when it was good, it was the Cavaliers when LeBron was like 4 years old. It was a different NBA. All right. It was a completely different NBA back then. All right. I don't even think 5-out was even a thing back when LeBron was a puppy playing in the NBA when he went to the championship. 5-out now with the pace of the game, it's a whole nother monster and a whole nother defensive scheme needs to be presented. So like, even although offensively, I feel like yes, Mike Brown is that dude. Defensively, he might have some principles, but like I still have questions to see if that's going to translate to a team like this one. Even though we do have more defensive guys to play with than the Kings, for sure, we should be better. We definitely should be better than the Kings. But I have questions. Go ahead, Steph.
The thing that I want to see is the Knicks can have a great offense. The Knicks can have a great defense. It depends on which lineups he leans into. The thing about it is the Knicks don't have a bunch of two-way players. So, like, if you want to have a good defensive lineup, that's a certain amount of players that are in there. So, like, when you have Brunson and Cat in there, that lineup is going to be okay defensively, depending on who you have around them, depending on the schemes. If you want to have a juggernaut defensive team, you probably have to take one of them out. If you want a this 5-out, and I will say this, I don't know. Let me know if I'm going too far off point.
Okay.
There is a difference to me between a spread offense and a true 5-out offense. When you talk about a true 5-out offense, every player in that lineup can pass, shoot, dribble, drive, right? So, and we're going to get into who the starters are going to be. But in my opinion, between Deuce, Mitch, and Hart, all three of them have some offensive limitation in one of those categories, dribble and pass. So it's, to me, it would never be a true 5-out offense with any one of those in, because as much as Deuce is going to stretch the defense and you're going to have gravity, he's not a dynamic playmaker in other respects. So that when you talk about space and fit, somebody cuts to the key, boom, that pass is right there. Or Deuce cuts to the key, he gets the pass. Can he finish at the rim? You understand? Josh Hart, we already know his limitations. He's dynamic in terms of being a playmaker, being able to cut, being able to hit the cutter, but he's not a shooter, right? And Mitch, as great as he is defensively in terms of offensive rebounding, he's also not somebody that, I like to say, can move the offense along, right? So after the dribble handoff, if that ball comes back around to Mitch again, you got to be able to make quick decisions. So space and pace is not just about fast break. It's also about, in the half-court offense, having the skill to play on all three levels, and also having the processing speed so that when somebody cuts, boom, that pass is right there. I think all three of those guys have limitations in that respect. Now, that doesn't mean the Knicks won't have a great offense. They will. I just think we need to move off of the 5-out, at least as I understand 5-out. I don't see that. I think if Brogdon is that fifth starter in that lineup, if Clarkson is in that lineup, then we can start talking about true 5-out as I understand it. Those other guys, it's like a 4.5 or 4 3/4 offense, because there is some limitations there. Can they still be successful? Absolutely. Can we still win a championship? Absolutely. Ebony, not with Ebony, who's the other? Ryan made a good point. People have won championships without a 5-out offense. I just don't see, with any of those three, I don't see a true 5-out offense as I understand it, though Deuce gives you the most space, if that makes sense. So defense, offense, I think they're going to just have to, Mike Brown's going to have to mix lineups. What do I need right now? I need an offensive line. Let me put this one in. What do I need right now? I need a defensive line. Let me put I just don't think we have, like Boston, all 5 players are just two-way play. We just don't have that, in my opinion.
I really want to talk about the starting 5 now. I feel like we just moved into the starting 5 conversation with that. And
Jay, I want to give Steph, before we move into that segue, I want to give Steph some flowers, and Jeff as well. This is exactly why I wanted to have this conversation. This is high-level ball talk. Everyone who's enjoying this conversation, please give us a like, a thumbs up, but also go over to the Dope Soul channel. Subscribe to their basketball channel as well. Follow Queen on Twitter. Follow Jeff on Twitter. I make these collaborations selfishly because these are the type of people I want to have basketball conversations with. This is like the Marvel Illuminati, when Black Panther and Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man and Doctor Strange are all collaborating and talking about the end of the world and how to save it. These are the type of basketball conversations that I love to have. I mean, I'm looking at this. To have Jeff and Ebony on the same string and be able to converse and trade ideas is a beautiful thing. To me, I'm very highly competitive. Jay, no, I'm very competitive. And y'all's channel is the most competitive channel to us, I believe, in terms of high-level basketball conversation. And be able to have it with whoever you're sharing the stage with. I love that you make it so accessible and so easy to understand.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I agree. For sure. For sure. Now, let's get back to what Steph was saying. When it comes to, here's the thing. I get what you're saying. Funny enough, Steph, when I was thinking about 5-out conversations today, you came with the same analogy. So I started laughing in my head because I literally was saying, man, we have with this player here, it's not 5-out, it's like 4 and impossible. I was literally thinking that 4 in the afternoon today. So when you said it, I started laughing in my brain. But and that's Black and East for you guys that don't know. 4 and Apostles, a space reference. But that's another story. Anyway, I know Lee and I align on the possibility of Deuce starting, I have Deuce and Mitch being the guys who should start. But I lean slightly more towards Deuce for two reasons. One, Jeff mentioned where are the guard minutes coming from. I feel like if we don't start a guard next to Brunson, that where the guard minutes come from question really has to be brought up. I think starting Deuce frees up more minutes for Brogdon and Clarkson and the rest of the guards to actually get a decent amount of run. Two, I do feel like Deuce can have some 5-out ability. Now I know he's not like the lead guard passer that Brogdon and Jordan Clarkson is. But I do feel like he's a guy who is a ball mover. I do feel like he's a guy who can throw a good lob. I remember when Deuce first got here, Deuce and Sims was like a thing. Like Deuce was throwing Sims lobs from like half court and stuff from the G League. So I think if he had the opportunity to actually share the court and move around, I do feel like we can actually unlock a true 5-out offense from Deuce. It's funny how like time changes the perception of a player. Because I remember when Deuce was here at the same time as IQ, everybody was saying, get IQ out of here. Deuce is more of a pure point guard. Remember that? Remember that? Everybody was like, Deuce is averaging 10 assists in G League. Deuce is a pure point guard. He doesn't pound the rock enough. He doesn't pound the rock. He moves the ball. So I feel like in this new offense with Mike Brown, which I feel like this is his strength, we're going to see more Deuce being able to make those quick decisions you talk about and move the ball. And on top of that, he can hit the three. He's the best dribble handoff. He's the best point of attack defender we have. Sometimes he even defends bigger players better than I think he can at points. I'm like, wow, that surprised me he got that stop. So I'm comfortable with Deuce starting because of those things. And he's still a young player, so I still feel like there's some wiggle room for him to grow in that playmaking area. Do I expect him to be freaking Allen Iverson? No.
And he doesn't have to be.
Right.
He just has to be a ball mover. When somebody cuts, that pass needs to be like the processing speed needs to
right. Right. The same reason I liked Obi. I liked Obi because he had the better process. He had good processing speed when he was here. Obi, when it came to passing and cutting, and he had good instincts. But I do agree with you. I do agree with you that I do feel like the other people you mentioned are more 4.5 or 4 in the possible than Deuce is starting. That's just my opinion. Anybody else want to get into this starting five conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, Fritz haven't said anything in a minute, man. What's going on?
Right, Fritz. Good.
No, I'm gonna say, like I said last time, I really don't think the fifth starter's on the roster yet. I really would like to see another two-way wing, actually even a defensive wing, like someone maybe not advanced offensively, but someone who could take the pressure off Mikal Bridges to allow him to be the shooter and scorer that I think Mike Brown would enjoy. Like Mike Brown has always had, when he had a dynamic point guard, he's always had a shooting guard who was another big scorer, another big threat. And I think Mikal Bridges could be that threat, but he can't be that threat while being the anchor on defense.
Excellent point. And I'm going to use that point to be a segue to my own to collaborate on some ideas. I heard from Steph, Jeff, and Fritz. If you think about Cleveland, if you look at the records, offensive rating, defensive rating for Cleveland under Mike Brown, they fluctuated. There were 2 or 3 seasons out of Mike Brown's tenure where they were in the top 10 in offense. But if you looked at the actual roster that was around LeBron, it was pretty damn anemic in terms of offensive ability, especially self-shot creation was very low. Outside of Larry Hughes and then toward the end, Antoine Jameson, you didn't really have any wings or guards that were really able to create their own offense. You had catch-and-shoot guys like Mo Williams. Jugausis was able to be a hub, but Verjao was very limited. Goran Dragic couldn't hit past 15 feet. So they had a lot of limitations there, but he was smart. I think what I liked about Mike Brown, there were lineups where he closed with Verjao and Jugausis. There were lineups where he had Donnell Marshall as a starting power forward in a 4 slot to provide some spacing in the corners for that 1-4 flat offense that he was running in Cleveland, which then it changed throughout time. And Lakers, he played a lot more of that high pick and roll with Kobe Bryant as the initiator. And then he took on the principles he learned in Golden State to have more of a true 5-out, as Steph was talking about, in Sacramento, making that Draymond action at the elbow or heavy dribble handoffs and off-ball screens by guard-to-guard screens. I think he's going to play to his personnel. And the great thing, as everyone's mentioned, that right now, Leon Rose has given him every possible tool he could want, besides maybe a Dante DiVincenzo heavy movement shooter. Shamet's really the only one we have there. But for the most part, he has so many options that he can really base closing lineups on the personnel. Have those 5 starters that are consistent so people know their roles and we don't drift into that Thibs territory. As Ebony always say, like, what's my role? If you really want to star in your role, be a superstar in your role, another Ebonyism, you have to establish a starting 5 that doesn't really fluctuate too much. But that closing 5 can be dependent on the personnel that you're facing.
Well said.
Yeah, thanks.
Well said. I already know Ebony's answer, but I'm I think everybody knows Ebony's answers. Go ahead, Ebony. Who's your star?
You already know my guy, Money Mitch. It's not even because it's my guy. It's because I think he allows everybody to go back to their position. I know we always talk about the offense on Mitch or his liabilities, but this has been the first healthy offseason he's really had. And I don't know if ever, like, it's been that long. I don't know, what you add to the game. He looks hungry. He's always been a dog, responded, been impactful for us. So again, with Mike Brown's offense, he has learned a lot under Kerr, and he said it. One thing Kerr is very good at, one thing Kerr is super duper good at, is putting his players, finagling with plays, so that they fit the team, fit the roster. So Golden State has had plenty of non-shooting bigs. You got Draymond, you got Looney. They've had those big, and they've been impactful for them because what they'll do is, okay, we have shooters, just like the Knicks have shooters. We have offensive people who can get their own bucket. We're going to use their presence as an offense. So now, yes, Mitch is at the top of the key, and normally somebody doesn't drop to the basement to guard him, right? But if you have Cat, if you have Mikal, you have OG, you have Brunson coming off that curl for the dribble handle, not even a dribble handoff, just for the pick that Mitch has been setting so many good picks, giving our players the easiest buckets they get all game. So now you start him with the ball, and now the defense has to respect the Brunson. They have to respect the OG. They have to respect Mikal. And then on top of that, on the strong side and then the weak side, he'll do a flare screen. He'll do double screen. He'll do stagger. He'll do curl. He has multiple movements, so it's hard for you to lock in. And if I'm using Jalen Brunson as on off ball where he comes off, and we don't give it to them, they might help. Now we have somebody open, or they might not help, thinking, worrying about Jalen Brunson in the corner over there, and we get easy buckets. That's what Mike Brown does. He makes you make decisions on the fly, fast, and that benefits everybody. So the motion, we talk about people not being able to make their own buckets. The motion makes the buckets. So I think that would be the best of both worlds for me, the defense and the offense.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me who starts, because those guys, to me, they're not true. Like, a true starter to me is 34 plus minutes.
Right.
Mitch, McBride, Hart, any of those guys start, they're playing anywhere between 22 and 28 minutes. And so what that means is that there's going to be room for other lineups. Like if you told me that Mitch minutes were going to mirror Cat's, I would have a problem. I would have a problem with that, because now we never get an opportunity to see Cat at center. We never get an opportunity to see how dynamic this offense can be. But if Mitch is playing 26 to 28 minutes, I don't care if he starts because we're going to still see other lineups. If McBride starts and he's playing 26 minutes, who cares? We're still going to get a chance to see. You understand what I'm saying? So yes. Even if Hart starts, one thing Brown is going to do is, if they put that center on Hart, first of all, Thibodeau could have schemed it a little better, number one. But number two, even if you're not going to scheme, take him out and put in somebody else. Mike Brown is going to both scheme and take Hart out. So even if Hart starts, he's not playing any more than 28 minutes. So whoever that fifth starter is, to me, it's not that big a deal because they're not going to be playing true starters minutes, in my opinion. And so you'll be able to rotate other players with the rest of the minutes, if that makes sense. And we'll still have that versatility, flexibility, rotation.
Yeah. I just want to say, I hope nobody has to play those starter minutes. You know, I'm hoping we on our Golden State where we don't have to play too many fourth quarters with our starters type vibes. That's what I'm asking for. That's what I want for them this
season. Would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Man, wait, Jeff, did you say you're starting five already, Jeff?
I haven't.
Yeah, I ain't that shot. Go ahead, Jeff. Like I want to say something after that, but go ahead.
Go ahead and say it first, and then I'll go.
Okay. I do not want Josh Hart anywhere near the starting five. I am so tired of Josh Hart in the starting five. I know people talk, oh yeah, Josh Hart or bitch or Deuce. Can we just not have Josh Hart start? I love the man. I love the hustle. I love all of it. The shooting or the lack thereof is just it frustrates me so much. It's not even just not the lack thereof, it's the lack of pulling the trigger. Because he'll go through these bouts of shooting well, and then he'll go through these bouts of he's just passing up every single shot, and then we're right back to our offense being bogged down. And that's the thing that was frustrating me a lot last season with Josh Hart, where it's like, bro, you open, shoot the ball. Now people are doubling Cat. Now people are doubling Brunson. Now the court just gets smaller because no one is respecting him. And I'm just over the Josh Hart starting experiment. Now, if he wants to finish because he's having a good night, fine. But I am not for Josh Hart starting. I'm over it.
I will say this. I'm fine with any of those. The court got small, one, and everyone knows I support Thibodeau. I didn't think the criticism of him was fair. I always thought it was unbalanced, but the criticism of him was fair. Everybody is getting on Josh Hart, and I don't think a lot of criticism is going to Thibodeau in the coaching staff. Now, when you think about a true 5-out, other than the shooting, Josh Hart is like a 4.75 other than the shooting, because he's somebody who could drive, draw, and kick. He's somebody who's a secondary playmaker. Mm-hmm. He's a tremendous rebounder. He was the Knicks' second leading rebounder. Everybody wants to start Deuce, putting a tremendous amount of pressure on Karl-Anthony Towns to rebound, because you're not getting it for OG. You're not getting it from Bridges. If you want to play good defense, you got to be able to close out possessions. And if Cat is the only one there trying to close out a possession, that puts a lot on him. But my point is, I'm fine with Josh Hart coming off the bench, because I also think it helps our bench lineup as well in terms of having wing substitution. But I guess I'm just not as down on him as everyone else, because I feel like had Tom Thibodeau, okay, fine. You want to put your center on Josh Hart, that means Cat has the advantage. We didn't spam Cat and make them come out of that. We didn't do schemes to help Josh Hart, number one. And number two, push come to shove, he could have just taken Josh Hart out and put in Malcm McBride. So everybody is down on Josh Hart. But to me, I'm not down on Josh Hart, because I feel like the coaching could have been better. And I think we overlooked that, and it's all about how terrible Josh Hart is, who had a career year, by the way, 15-something points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, really good secondary playmaker. But I'm fine with him coming off the bench. I'm just trying to balance the conversation that he's not as terrible as people say he is. I think coaching schemes and substitutions could have helped him a lot.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I'm not somebody else. Go ahead. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm saying real quick. I know Jeff want to go off. I'm sorry. He's been waiting patiently. I just want to say that my memory shot, Jeff, like really, really bad. Like really, really bad.
You're good. Go ahead.
Don't get my condition.
This is a opportunity gain.
I had said something similar last pod, Queen, about how we take Thibodeau's concepts and we put it on the players. Like we put it on the players, and that's why I mentioned we have a lot of players who play well in movement. So you may see difference that you didn't see last season because they're in their element. They're playing more freely. It's not always going to be dribble, 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 dribble. I know I seen State ask who won dribble. The motion is the dribbling. There is not a lot of dribbling in Mike Brown's offense. He has a 0.5 rule. You dribble a little bit, you pass, you shoot. There is no dribbling the air out the ball in his offense. That does not rock. So that's what I'm excited for. But yeah, just a lot of people in motion. I think Josh Hart, even with his finger, I hope it helps him shoot better this year. Maybe it'll catch him it'll get the straight. Maybe. I don't know. But I hope it does. And I think we see he gets to play his game because he's already been the person in transition for us. So
yeah. And I just want to say real quick, I know I went off on Josh Hart. If you watched this channel last season, I've defended Josh Hart on this channel. We've defended Josh Hart on this channel.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Josh Hart is trash. I'm not saying I want to trade him.
Yeah.
I just don't want him starting because it was very frustrating watching him not.
I agree with that one.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree with the Thibs, especially versus Indiana. It took him entirely too long to bench Josh Hart. He was not good that series. We could have went to Shaman way earlier.
Right.
We didn't. I think that was another reason why we could have won that we didn't win. But that's another story. I'm passing the ball. Go ahead.
I don't like the idea of saying someone who's not a good shooter is unskilled, and I think Josh Hart is a skilled player. He's the one player who always could revive a fast break by himself, and I think we want to play fast, and I think Mike Brown could really use him to keep the pace. I think he's one player. I don't think if we're not standing still, I don't think he's as much of a liability. I think his agent of chaos nature could be an advantage this time with less minutes. So I don't want to see him playing that many minutes, but I don't think it is as bad as people say it is.
Great take.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Well, one thing that this amazing conversation makes clear is that none of those three players mentioned, Hart, Robinson, and Deuce, are perfect starters. So I think Queen is absolutely right that it doesn't matter who starts, it matters who finishes. In my mind, that's key. So it depends on what I think we'll find out a lot about what Mike Brown values most by who he puts in the starting lineup. If he values putting pressure on the ball, guarding 94 feet and really spacing the floor, then I think Deuce is your guy. But that lineup is severely limited from a rebounding perspective. What the nice part about that is it pushes Bridges up to the three where he's not having to guard the point of attack. And then I think you get Phoenix Suns defender in Bridges, because I don't think he's designed to play small point guards and have to guard. Like, I don't think like he can do it in stretches. Like if he's on Tatum or Brown, someone with size, I'm more comfortable with it. But if he's having to guard Halliburton or some of these other, smaller players, I'm not real. I don't think that's his wheelhouse as a defensive player. And then and OG, I like to say OG guards 1.5, right? He'll guard his man plus a little bit extra, and so I think with you have Bridges at the 3, you have Bridges as a 1.5 defender as well. And what's nice about that is you have 2 1.5 defenders that makes up for having a 0 defender. And I'll leave it to you guys to decide who that might be. But if you value rim protection, which our old coach did, then Mitch is your guy. And I hate to say this, people are expecting a lot of what Mike Brown says defensively, at least from the comments, sound a lot like what Thibodeau likes from his defenses. So if rim protection is of primary concern of protecting the paint, nobody's going to do that on the team better than Mitch can. Now, Mitch is not going to be able to play starters minutes. He's never done it throughout his entire career. I don't expect him to do it now. I think if we tried to do that, I think he would break down. So again, he may not, and with his free throw shooting as bad as it is, he's a liability down the stretch closing games anyway. So that's a concern as well. But he's also a really good rebounder, better on the offensive side than the defensive side. But that's a consideration that has to be made. But personally, I really like Towns at the 5. I've always liked that. I think he had his best season since his 3rd year offensively because he was playing the 5 spot primarily. Not that you can't play him at the 4 some. And if you're using the starting lineup, if you're only playing Mitch for the first 4 or 5 minutes and then go into somewhere else, I think that's perfectly fine. And it's a more than adequate solution. So I don't really have any problem with Robinson starting. I would probably pick Mitch if you want to know the truth because of the rim protection aspect. I love the on-off numbers when Deuce starts and when Deuce plays next to Clemson. A lot of everybody says it's too small. The numbers don't bear out defensively that it's a liability. So I'm not overly certain about that criticism. And Queen can attest, last year I was actually talking about the concept of Deuce as a starter, so I don't mind it. But another thing to keep in mind with Josh Hart, and I know you don't want Josh to start, but if you're talking about running a Princeton offense with a lot of off-ball cuts and those sorts of things, Josh Hart is fantastic at that. He is constantly in motion. He's a movement player, and so a lot of those things play to his strengths as well. And I would argue of the 3 players, he's the best defensive rebounder of the bunch. And so, if you're going to play really good defense, getting that rebound is the final step. If you don't get the rebound, it doesn't matter if you played 23 seconds worth of good defense. They just get to set it up again, and then you're wearing yourself out. And so Hart is a good rebounder. And the other thing about his rebounding is that his rebounding can turn quickly into offense. So that's a definite plus as well. I kind of feel like one of the things that Thibodeau lost his job over was his stubbornness for Hart in the starting lineup. So I kind of think it's going to look a little bit different, even if Hart ends up closing a lot of the games. I don't know that you'll see Deuce. I think it would work. I like the concept of it. I would love to see it. But the thing about Deuce is, do we have Deuce's shooting numbers from 2 seasons ago when he was stellar? Or do we have Deuce's shooting from last season when he was okay? He was all right. He was good from the catch and shoot. I believe Lee was telling me the other day when we had this discussion on X that he was good with the catch and shoot from the corners. Isn't that what you were telling me?
He was 41% all around catch and shoot.
On catch and shoot. Okay. So his catch and shoot numbers were good, but that means that his not catch and shoot numbers were really bad because he shot like 36% from 3 overall last year. So obviously you would expect most of his attempts to be catch and shoot in that starting lineup. So maybe that diffuses that altogether. But also the other thing I would say about Deuce starting is you won't see as many of those awful takes to the rim that end up in him getting blocked in a turnover, I think, in the starting lineup, because he would be more of a spacer, floor spacer, just stand on the perimeter and shoot, catch and shoot, not relying on him to do some of those playmaking things that guys like Brogdon and Clarkson, even, who I'm not a fan of because I think he's really inefficient. But Lee and I disagree on that too, I think. But I'm not quite as excited about Clarkson as most of Knicks Nation, because I think he's the classic chuck and duck player. But I will admit that he is a walking bucket. I think that he does have the ability to create his own shot. The quality of those shots, I think you could argue that it's not that great, but
I always say that he's a potential Shaq and Fool candidate.
Can I be the Deuce defender real quick?
Yes.
All right. So for one, I'm gonna say this. Last year, Deuce was injured for like half the season. So like there was a pattern. He would come out, shoot phenomenally. Then there'll be like 2 or 3 games where it's a slump, and then he would get taken out. He didn't get taken out because he hit the floor or twisted his ankle. He would get taken out. And then you would see some news. He's fighting through some type of like groin injury or whatever. So it's like, so when I see these numbers of him shooting low after 3 games in a row, and then he's out for like a groin injury, then I'm like, oh, well, that explains why he wasn't shooting well, because he's shooting through an injury, and he was battling throughout the entire year. So when people are saying, well, he didn't shoot well, I'm like, well, he was playing through injury. So I think a year of rest with him being healthy, I think those shooting numbers are going to be fine. On top of that, like I'm mad I don't have my 6-person share screen set up so I can actually show the stats here. But Clean the Glass has 3-point shooting for Deuce McBride. Clean the Glass has this 3-point shooting stats. They take out garbage time and minutes that don't compare to the game. So like his 3-point percentage last year, when you take out like garbage time and stuff, is 38% in general. So it's like, it's not as bad as people really foresee it. And like Lee says, he shoots well from the corner. So I still feel like Deuce is going to be fine from 3 this season. I'm not even worried about it. I think he's going to perform well from 3. I think he's going to have a great year. That's not even a concern for me. Like the worry about him reverting back to 2 years ago when he didn't have his confidence, he was playing in G League. I don't even think that's going to even be a thing.
He was excellent 2 years ago. It was 3 years ago that he couldn't shoot. But can I rebuttal just a little bit in my concerns about Deuce? Mm-hmm. And Lee and I had a great discussion on Twitter about this. But I'm also concerned, compared with Clarkson and Brogdon, who I think he's competing with minutes for, I've not really seen great playoff numbers from Deuce for most of his young career. Even, you can't just go by counting stats, but all of his stats pretty much are down across the board. And if you look defensively, last year in the playoffs, Schroeder cooked him, Pritchard cooked him, and TJ McConnell cooked him, right? And he's supposed to be coming in as, your best perimeter guarder at the perimeter on the team. And he struggled, in my opinion, mightily in all 3 of those matchups. And so, if we're talking about, the playoffs and making a deep run, I'm not sure that I've seen anything from Deuce that says to me he's definitely ready to be a full-time starter on a team that's ready to compete for the finals. Now, does that mean that you couldn't do like an Elfrid Payton and start him like 15 minutes and then everybody else takes over? Of course you could do that. So it's however you want to play. I don't know. Like I said, if his shooting bounces back like it was 2 years ago, I think that erases a lot of those issues. But I also I don't know if it was just circumstantial or my eye test is wrong, but it looked to me like he struggled against all 3 of those guys last year. And those are matchups we need him to win.
He definitely struggled versus McConnell for sure. That was a thing. I think he did a little bit better this season versus McConnell than last season. He definitely struggled versus Schroeder. But what I will say is, I think what impressed me about Deuce, not this series versus Indiana, the series before, was his shooting during the playoffs. Like, there was a time when Tom Thibodeau was spinning his wheels on what lineup to play, and he played Deuce and Brunson together, and they were doing guard, screen and roll, and Brunson would toss it to Deuce every time, and he would hit a 3, and it kind of opened up the game for us for like a couple of games versus Indiana. And that was like his first real minutes in the playoffs. So the notion that Deuce can't perform in the playoffs, I don't think that's correct. I think he just
averaged 5 points a game in the playoffs last year. You can look it up and see.
I mean, you can stat watch, or you can also, watch the game. When I watched the game, when Deuce started with Jalen Brunson and he was running this guard screen and roll, he hit a few 3s in a row, and it opened up the game for us. So you can say he averaged this 5 points in a game, but he's also not playing 30 minutes a game and being a starter. His role is to be a floor stretcher and to hit open 3s. So if you do your job, if you're a floor stretcher and hit open 3s, you did your job. So I feel like Indiana, he did well. personally, maybe not so much this season, but the season before, for sure. So I don't understand this notion that Deuce can't perform in the playoffs. I don't see that. And even versus
he struggled
the
this
76ers, the 76ers last season too, he shot well.
He shot well. He played well in that series. I didn't think Deuce had a good postseason this past year.
Yeah, not this year. I'm talking about the season before. Not this year.
Well, what I'm saying is it's up and down. It's up and down. When you have a championship contending team and you're talking about that fifth starter, you want that player to be somebody that you know you can count on game in and game out. We'll see. Like I said, they're playing 24 to 26 minutes. There's so much versatility. Deuce ain't hitting his shots. He come out, we put Shaman in, we put this. There's so much versatility. I just don't think it's a big deal for that fifth starter. I just don't. I just think we have the coach that's going to take advantage of the lineups. I think we're going to be fine. This Mitch, Hart, McBride doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
I just wanted to defend my guys. You know, I'm gonna go to bat for my defending guys. So I just wanted to defend my guys. Now, TJ has always had Deuce's number. That's a player that's has number. For some reason, I guess that prototype, because Pritchard kind of fits the same body type when you think about it. I don't know, but one thing again is the Thibs system. It won't be, even though he sounds Mike Brown sounds a lot like Thibs. His defensive principles, how he goes about things might be a little bit different. The dropping down, that's going to be out there. The screen navigation, he's big on that. Up the touch. If somebody's setting screens, you right there. You right there. So that's different. They chasing down screens. You know, that's different. He's not leaving his players on the island. They're taught to push baseline. It's moving together. That's what his defensive. We're not going to guard one person by ourselves. We're going to guard, all five of us are going to guard, like Cotton Vibes. And that's different. And I think that'll help a lot of people. You don't leave anybody on the island. That'll help a lot of our players, and especially Deuce, I believe so. And a lot of our defensive woes came because like we mentioned, Thibs rotations a lot. We know that Cat is not a rim protector, and that's why I might think that Mitch does start, because he keeps told that's a key principle in Mike Brown's defensive philosophy. We're going to protect the rim, but he's also going to try to chase you off the 3-point line. We're not doing the whole, he wants you to contend everything. Everything has to have some kind of context. And that's refreshing to me. And Mitch is a rebound, and I have mentioned this too. So I feel like I have to say it again. Mitch is behind his defensive rebounding. A lot of times he'll just take his body and go 2 against 1 and occupy those 2, because he knows they're gang rebounding against him. And he'll let the Josh Harts take the ball and start the fast break, because now he has 2 people there and he can go. So his defensive rebounding numbers won't really tell his whole defensive rebounding story, because a lot of times he'll just let his teammates clean it up.
But Neck, if he's playing besides Cat, he need to get him.
Okay, I'm sure he can, but like if I have 2, I think it's smart. I'm using my presence. They're taking all their energy trying to box me out. If I could take them out the picture, now we get the rebound and run. We gone.
But Hart is not going to be in there. He's going to be in there with anemic OG, anemic Bridges. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get. Well, somebody else has to help, no matter whose that is. Even if it's Cat, somebody else has to help Cat with the rebound. And it has to be somebody else that down there.
It's not going to be OG. It's not going to be Bridges. It's going to be Mitchell Robinson.
See, Queen, you're gonna make me defend my defenders again.
No. Because you're not the only one who says that. When it comes to offensive rebound, Mitch, go up and get it. When it comes to defensive rebound, I don't want to talk about you boxing somebody out.
OG just now. I was about to defend OG just now. OG, he's always on the perimeter, right? He always guard, and most of the time the best player. So a lot of times he can't get down there sometimes. I thought he did a better job intentionally trying to rebound last year. I thought he did. I think he did. But he gave a better effort on that end.
There are other perimeter defenders throughout the league who also defend on the perimeter and rebound.
That sounds like Mitch, Queen. My boy on the perimeter.
Hear that OG can't because he's out on the. Other players do it, defend and rebound. Like, I don't know. This is the last thing I will say about on-off numbers. It's dependent on who you're playing with, and it's also dependent on schemes. So last year, on-off numbers with Deuce and Hart, who was a negative, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing next year, this upcoming season.
Right.
We got good problems. We got good problems. Sorry, Lee. I'm cool. Cool. Whoever playing, play them. If they not, sit them. That's how I am. Doesn't matter the name, whoever it is. I was like that before. They was like, even Jalen Brunson. Yes, even him. Have a seat, sir.
Right.
I really love the back-to-back debate between Jay Ellis and Jeff, and then Queen and my sister Ebony. Excellent to listen to. I might look at a stat nerd, but I'm not a stat nerd. I'm not someone who overly relies and depends on raw numbers or accounting stats or advanced analytics. I definitely consider it as a portion, but I trust my eye. It's one of the reasons I'm able to talk about basketball is how much I've watched and how much I trust my own talent. And this is where I disagree very strongly with Jeff. Pointing to a 5 points per game for your fifth starter to me is not enough of an argument to discount it. Now, if you do want to talk about the height and the undersized backcourt, that is absolutely, there's absolutely cause there to criticize that long term. Can you win a championship with it? B, the motivator always says this, our sister KOT, show me one champion in modernity since 2000. That's one with an undersized backcourt. And you do what?
Raptors.
Yeah, Toronto. It's Toronto. With Irvin and what's that?
Van Vliet was off the bench. Danny Green was a starting two guard who was like 6'7". So
they played the double small backcourt.
They closed with a small backcourt, but they started with one small, one shot. And even Lowry is not small for a point guard. So there's definitely an argument there. But to me, for your fifth starter, if your fifth starter is the fifth worst offensive player in our lineup, which Deuce would be, he is. I think we all agree on that. You have OG and Mateo and Cat and Brunson. Deuce is the worst. 5 points per game is okay to me in the playoffs. If those 5 points per game come along with better reads, better processing on offense and defense, but also the ability he brings fighting through screens. I watched Mikal Bridges lose his reputation as a screen navigator in the playoffs last season and watched Deuce McBride establish himself as a screen navigator in the playoffs last season. And I thought that when he was put on someone or that was his role was to guard a point of attack, okay, TJ McConnell might have cooked him, but TJ McConnell cooked SGA too. He cooked Dort, he cooked J-Dub, he cooked everybody in the finals. So we're talking about Pritchard, sixth man of the year. We're talking about TJ McConnell, and we're talking about Dennis Schroeder. 3 very good offensive guards, off the bench or not. Very good. 3-level, B-level players. Yeah, okay, Deuce, a second-round pick, G League star, is going to get cooked. Yeah, he'll get cooked. But as a fifth starter, can he hold his own and do the dirty work that the other 4 guys don't have time to or will take away from their maximized apex? And I would say yes. Screen navigation, staying on his man, switching whether it's the 1 or the 2 off of ball screens, and hitting open shots on catch and shoot opportunities in this system, no matter what system it is. Princeton, read and react, run and gun. Deuce kind of fits the mold. I just wish he was 4 inches taller, which then brings back to our conversation. All of them have major flaws and major strengths, which is why I think Leon Rose has doubled up on the depth to ensure that Mike Brown has the pieces to play with when the closing lineup, as we all agree, matters way more than the starting.
If he was 4 inches taller, he wouldn't be making $4 million a season, though. Either.
Facts.
No, you're right about that. He wouldn't go in the second round.
A lot more.
He wouldn't have gone in the second round either.
Yeah.
I mean late first. Whatever. Yeah.
But he does have a 6'8" wingspan or something like that, so he can guard up. I will give him credit for that. His wingspan does allow him. He's maybe 6'2", but he plays like he's 6'4" or 6'5". I've always said that, and I do think he can be a good defender. I'm just saying that last postseason defensively, and I get it, all those are talented players, but look, if you're talking about in the playoffs, you're always going to have those talented players, right? And you've got to have at least the ability to slow them down. And again, you're talking about the eye test. From my eye test, from my perspective, he looked like a deer in headlights in those 3 matchups. And I'm not going to go back and watch the tape. So if I'm wrong, look, I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again. Feel free to correct me. I have no problem with that. But I just and I hope I'm wrong about this. Like I said, if he comes back and shoots like he did 2 seasons ago, I think you're perfectly comfortable starting him. And I think the on-off numbers are going to be great. I don't I'm not as confident as Lee and as Jay are about that. We're definitely going to see that. That's the only thing.
I have a question. I don't know if we spoke about it. I know what Jeff's answer is because he already told me how he felt about Jordan Clarkson. But Queen, who are you most excited to see off the bench between the new?
We had a whole conversation about this before you got here.
Yeah.
My bad. I didn't see that. I missed it.
You missed it.
I said Brogdon because of just the versatility he's gonna bring, having that floor general in the backcourt. But I do want to make this point about Clarkson's inefficiency. He wasn't early in his career. I don't remember him being inefficient. I think when you come to a new team, you're going to have better players around you. He's not going to be having a ball in his hand with the shot clock, winding down, having to take, these last second shots. I think his efficiency is going to be better on this team because he's going to take better shots. The other thing I think is going to be better, and he talked about this a little bit, I think his defense is going to be better. And he already mentioned it, that Mike Brown is really harping, this was not his words, but my words, like making an emphasis on defense. And he understands that he has to play defense and he has the physical tools to play defense. Now, he may not be as spry as he was in year 2 or 3, but he has the physical tools to play defense. So I expect Clarkson to be a better defender this year and to be more efficient this year, playing with better players, getting better quality shots.
And if not, haven't sat down.
Yeah.
If not, you can sit down now. But
right.
Yeah. I mentioned that earlier too when it came to Clarkson. I think being around better players is going to help him. It's going to help people not get keyed in on. I feel like the team concept is going to help him. I think Mike Brown is going to help him get to another level. I feel like I hope he'll be okay. And as we like to mention, the corner 3 numbers, he shot 46% from the corner last season, 41% from the corner the season before. So no doubt about it. When we were in the fast break, when Mike Brown was talking about the team has to find those corners immediately, Jordan Clarkson will be running right to that corner, loading up for 3. And I expect to see that this season. So yeah, let's go. Shout out to Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, the one thing about Jordan Clarkson I really like, I think out of all the bench players, he's the one who has the most gravity, and people are going to really key on him. And last year, our real issue was when Jalen Brunson was off the floor. Like, what we were doing, it looked like everything stopped. And I think when Clarkson comes in, I think the offense is still going to move because he does have that gravity, and he will attract a double team. Even though his numbers aren't that great, you have to account for him at all times.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, before we signed Brogdon, he was pretty much slated as our backup point guard, in my opinion, because I don't see Deuce as a point guard at all. I would consider him an undersized wing. But so I think that the idea was that Clarkson was going to fill that role as the backup minutes to Jalen. And now with Brogdon here, I think that maybe changed things. But I will say this for Clarkson, defensively, he's not. He does have the tools, and I think his defensive rating is the same as Deuce's. If you look at their career numbers, not a perfect stat by any stretch of the imagination, I know, but it is an indicator. And so I'm not a huge Jordan Clarkson fan. I don't know that he's a modern NBA player. I think he's like he reminds me of like a poor man DeMar DeRozan. He can get buckets from inside the arc like crazy. I didn't realize his shooting numbers from the corners were so good. So maybe that's how we utilize him best. Just park him in the corner and tell him to knock it down on the fast break. Maybe that works. But a lot of
you're gonna be surprised, Jeff. You're gonna be surprised.
I think so too. Yeah, I feel the same way about Jordan. Like, I know he can be an inefficient player, but with different systems, different plays look different. So right now, I'm just optimistic for everybody until we see a couple games, and then it's gonna be like, all right, now.
I feel. Listen, the team would tell you, like, I wasn't necessarily super high on Jordan Clarkson either. Like, To be honest, I was trying to get Brogdon here for the last few years. That's it's like, so now that he's here, I'm like, okay, it's a year late, but we'll see what happens.
I don't want to mention. I was about to say I don't want to mention that guy, but y'all know how I feel about one of my worries is when a player comes from a team, has been on a team that hasn't played for anything for a while. So I'm not going to even mention the guy that played with us twice, that was building houses out here. That guy.
Okay, what did you say about AB? All right.
I know that's the guy.
Shot. All right. I even count him out. When the playoffs came, AB shot the ball. All right.
It took to the playoffs for him to get it together, but he
got it together though. He was the only one off the best getting it together.
I just don't take to if you I'll take it how I can. If you gonna wait to the playoffs and you go off, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it
too. Opposite of Julius Randle. All right.
For real. Show up when the lights is the brightest, please. You'll have offended me forever.
Oh man. Salute to the chat. Shout out to Corey Lee. This is a $5 super chat. It says, if Brogdon makes this team, then training medical staff will be working OT. Be careful for what you ask for us. I mean, listen, we got the Dallas Mavericks medical staff here. And ever since that's happened, OG has been relatively healthy. We got back on the court. Cat has been relatively healthy. So maybe
we've been fortunate. Just you gotta use words like that. We've been fortunate. So I'm being super superstitious this year. We've been fortunate since we've had the Mavs training staff.
I'm not superstitious at all. I step on cracks, split poles. I do all that. I mean, you make your own luck. Is luck in the creator to me. So, but I feel you.
I don't want to mention them words. It's gonna be fortunate situation or unfortunate situation. That's it.
God got me. That's all.
I believe it. I'm just. Whew.
All right, yo. We did it, y'all. We did it. We did. We did. I feel like we talked enough. It's been a 2-hour show. Hopefully, you enjoyed the show. If you have not followed those, so please do. They do great work over there. Jeff, I don't know if I got a little too snippy. Sorry if I did. I was getting a little passionate. My bad if I did.
No, that's what we want. That's what makes a great show, man. Look, you good, man. You're not hurting my feelings. That's why I come on these shows. I learn something every time. It's the variance of opinion that makes our take stronger. That's one thing that Queen and I have always been about on our. We're not the pom-pom squad. We're not just going to say everything about the Knicks is great just because they wear the orange and blue. If Mitchell Robinson is stinking it up, I'm going to call him out. If Mitchell Robinson is winning the playoff series, I'm going to call that out too. And both have happened. And so, look. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron, as far as I'm concerned. That's biblical principle, and so I'm a firm believer in that. And I learned a lot tonight, and I look forward to hopefully we can do this again because I had a blast. Yeah. And you guys know what you're talking about. And I definitely appreciate your perspective, and you made me smarter just sitting here listening to you. So I think that's really what you need to come out of any of these podcasts with is value added, and you guys bring value added easily.
Yeah, so do you. Now I'm gonna hold you and I agree. Listen, we're the same way too. We are the same way too. Man, we've had some unpopular takes. Early on, especially during the RJ years, that actually ended up coming to fruition years later. I still remember when I said we need to trade RJ for a long 3-and-D wing, and I was trying to trade RJ for what's the dude that's on the Portland?
Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant. And the only reason why I said Jeremy Grant because I didn't think we had a chance at OG. So in my brain, I'm like, who do we have that's close to OG? That we need on this Knicks. I said Jeremy Grant, and it was you crazy. And then next thing you know, we trade RJ for a Jeremy Grant-like player, and it propels us to the next damn level.
You were right, though. RJ wasn't enough to get Anunoby. We had to throw in IQ too.
Yeah, we had to
get that done. I mean, so let's be honest. You were on point on both of those right there. I was never a huge Barrett fan, as you could probably imagine.
I was very
inefficient player. but he was our player. So look, I don't care who you are. If you're wearing the orange and blue, I'm going to cheer you on until you give me reason not to. Like I always want all of these guys to succeed, and just because I'm critical of them doesn't mean I'm not rooting for them. I hope I'm dead wrong about Deuce, and he has the best year of his career and cements his starting spot and all the things. That would be great as far as I'm concerned, because if Deuce is playing that well, this is a 55-plus win team easily. Like, there's no question in my mind. So bring it on. I'm more than happy to be wrong to see my team win, and
I feel
this is
you.
the best team I got.
Yeah, I've been wrong. Yeah, you listen. You do this long enough, you be wrong too. Trust me. You'll be right and you'll be wrong. Trust me.
I was part of that Frank Hive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely part of that Frank Hive. Definitely was.
I was always mad about Frank because of who we didn't draft, but
yeah. There was also Darius too. I wanted Darius Garland here over RJ too. I remember that. I could call crazy for that. There's some bad ones too. There was some bad ones too. I think it took me a while to warm up to the Cat one, for sure. But another show. Let's end the show. Go ahead, Steph. Let them know where they can find you. We can end the show right now.
Definitely the weekly show, Dope Soul Sports. Be sure to look us up on YouTube. Just put in Dope Soul Sports. Subscribe. We go on every Thursday for the weekly show. Jeff and I will be coming on lunchtime after the Knicks play for the lunchtime post-game show. So look forward to that. Me and Anthony D will be coming on. We have yet to pick a date. We're going to be doing the Cutting Room Floor podcast. So just an opportunity to just deep dive into those narratives that don't really get a lot of play during the season because so much is going on. So we'll do that. We'll do that as well. So yeah. Come check us out. Absolutely. And then Jeff also has a daily sports blog, Happily Ever Clafter. So look him up. Really, really good stuff there as well.
Yeah. Let them know where they can find you, Jeff.
It's happilyeverclafter.wordpress.com. It's like the word after with a KL in front of it. For this about 2018, I've been writing a daily sports blog. I'm no Lee Escobedo, but I do my thing, and it's not just Knicks content. I do all my favorites teams, and then sometimes I just do general sports stuff because it's hard to come up with daily content, especially in the off season. But I actually did recently a SWOT analysis of all the teams within the Eastern Conference, just who they picked up in the offseason, how they got better, and those sorts of things. So if that'd be a good example of my non-Knicks stuff. But I tend to I do a lot of Knicks material. So I would appreciate if you come by and check it out. I do it because I enjoy it, but like I said, you guys have a better writer on here with Lee. He's outstanding from Posting and Toasting days. I remember it well, and he's just gotten better. So I appreciate any chance you get to look at my stuff and critique it and let me know, what I can do better. I would appreciate it.
Jeff is so humble. He's a really good writer.
I had a feeling he's doing okie doke. I just have a feeling. just the way he talks on here, I feel like he's kind of like playing possum. But I feel you. Play humble, bro. Play humble. I'm gonna read your stuff and then big you up when I read it. All right. And you are definitely right about Lee being a phenomenal writer. I always said like Lee's probably one of the best writers I've come in contact with. He's really good. So shout out to my guy Lee Escobedo. Lee, let him know where we can find you, man.
Man, Jeff, those are very kind words, man. I can't really express what it means to me to have people that I didn't know were out there reading my stuff. I have your website's saved in my bookmarks, and I've read your shout outs to me in your blog where you've actually called me out and shown appreciation, man. It means a lot to me. And you're someone I'm currently collaborating with Ebony on a series of articles. I wanted to start our second one this week to knock it out, and I would love to do a conversation with you as well, cross promote each other's work, and just have a dialogue about life, faith, politics, sports, whatever. I'm sure you and I would have deep conversation on whatever we talked about. I got a lot of love for you too, man. You're also a Texas dude living down here in the South as a Knicks fan. Sometimes it can be alone in that vacuum. You don't really have people to talk to, and the internet has provided great gateways for conversations like this, where Fritz and Jeff can meet each other. The two queens can have dialogue and debate about their favorite players. And my best friend here, Jay Ellis, and I can have these type of podcasts where we build bridges with other channels instead of burying them. So it's a beautiful thing, man. Your words really touched me. And Queen, I've watched about the last 7 episodes of y'all show, and both of you have multiple mentions about my work. And it really means a lot to me. Every time I hear Jay say that, it kind of gives me chills because I'm not used to people reading my work and telling me that to my face. So it does not. It's the only thing I'm good at, bro. I'm not good at anything else in life but writing. So, to hear that, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. I am good. Okay.
I'd rather be great at one thing than average at everything.
Right.
Right.
Not definitely talented.
I got some series coming out again. So I'm really proud of the work that Ebony and I did on our last post for the KOT Substack. Please follow that and support. That was an initiative started by Jay Ellis and I to turn the blog into something that's more creator owned and really did our voices to the blog. And everyone is invited to come and collaborate. Would also love to have a collaboration with Queen as well. Steph, if you have a time, I know we're all busy. And of course, the open invitation for the rest of the KOT family, B and Fritz and Phil and Ryan. But yeah, I have some great essays coming out, a series of 3 coming out on the WNBA Culture Wars, Cooper Flag expectations for a rookie, and looking at the complete history of Mark Cuban's ownership for the Mavs. They're coming out for the Guardian in the next couple of weeks, and then some really big series of essays on Bleacher Report as well, covering the WNBA Finals and the NBA start of the season.
All right, shout out to Lee Escobedo. Let them know where we can find you, Fritz.
When you don't catch me on here, NBA Economy Show on YouTube, where we take a lot of calculator heavy financial NBA content. Also Fritz handles on Twitter. Please follow me. I'm just so glad to be part of this podcast. We have a lot of talented players, writers. We're
stacked over here, man. We're stacked. I always say if you go to NBA Economy, bring your calculators and your pitchforks because he's gonna trade somebody you like.
Yeah, I'm part of the J. Ellis coaching tree, so you know what I mean.
Let's go. I love that. That's a bar.
Yeah.
Coaching tree. Oh man. Shout out to Fritz. Ebony, let them know where he can find you.
You can find me here on KOT. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok at Mad Knick Fan. Do a pregame space before every game called Your Take Knicks. And we ain't even gonna talk about that. Yeah, that's just it for now. I do bowling with the Queens. About that other team that disappointed us. But yeah. And I guess you got some things coming up soon. So look out for that. And it was a joy talking to you, Queen and Jeff. It's been a minute. I know I hit you up like it's been a while.
Yeah.
So it's definitely great talking basketball with you guys. It's always a good time.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the show. I feel like I'm gonna rewatch this show just so I can catch more.
I know, right? And I don't rewatch shows, but I think I am gonna rewatch this.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm gonna rewatch this. I feel like I need to catch some nuggets and write it down and learn some things and sharpen my sword a little bit. All right. All right, man. You already know. Find us at the KOT Show on Twitter, the Knick Time Show on Instagram, Knick Time Show on Facebook as well. We're also on TikTok. I'm fixing things on TikTok, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. All right. So follow us on all those social medias, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, all that jazz. We there. That is our show, guys. I know it's late, so thank you for rocking with us. Also, if you are watching on Twitter and you enjoyed this show, come over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That's going to help us even more. I appreciate all the love and all the watchful eyes on Twitter. I appreciate everybody who's sharing this stuff on Twitter. I see the retweets. I see the people saying we love this collaboration. If you liked what we're doing, you like the content, come to YouTube, hit that subscribe, hit the like too, and give us love on those channels as well. All right, it's going to help us a lot. It's going to help us keep the lights on. It's going to help us expand. Trust me, it's going to help us. All right, that's the show. Thank you guys for watching, and as always,
shout out the Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knick streets. That's the show. We out of here. Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.